Assalamualaikum. To Puan Zina binti Azmi. Today we're going to present to you about the summary of our journal article. The first one, we'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Nurfaza Nazani binti Mufazi. I have my three other friends, Zawana Aini binti Zabidi, Muhammad Aiman bin Samsul Bahrin, and the last one is Muhammad Tahir bin Muhammad Nasir. The title of our first journal article is The Effect of Online Learning on Communication between Instructors and Students During COVID-19 Pandemic. The introduction. The communication in education sector is between the educator and students. When there was the definition of the communication, because when where they have communicate with each other when they have to attend their online class or the face-to-face class. This effective communication is to exchange the information. When the educator is giving their information, they get a new information or ideas from the students. They can exchange their information. That's why it's called as the effective communication. But they still have the negative impact. The negative impact is going to give them bad side or negative side to them, which is the lack of the body language because the instructors cannot show their body language to the students.
The article 1 is the purpose of the article is the study aims to find out if online learning affects communication between instructor and students during the COVID-19 pandemic. And actually, this article provides recommendations to improve more effective online communication between students and instructors. Among the questions presented in this study is that the online learning can have a negative on communication between instructors and students. In addition, this study was also conducted to find out how to increase the level of productivity and communication between instructors and students. And for the second one is the communication. So the communication is very important because with the presence of communication skills in each person, it will be able to affect themselves as well as the organization. This suggests that lack of communication can lead to a lack of organizational effectiveness. Communication can also be defined as the process of transmitting information from one communication words from one person to another. The communication words carry the meaning of verbal or non-verbal telling.
2.2 Effective communication. Effective communication occurs when a desired effect is the result of intention or to succeed in their career. Instructor need to outstanding communication skills, need to listening, interpersonal, written and oral communication skills to promote comprehension developing. Instructor must possess highly developed levels of communication skills. Skills not only increase the potential of the instructor but will also improve the quality. Effective communication continuous. Must have highly developed oral and writing skills to interact effectively with communication skills. Instructors need to outstanding communication skills. Effective communication skill is an essential part of the ability for the instructor to succeed. Must possess highly developed levels of their communication skills. 2.3 Communication and productivity. Institutional productivity is a primary determinant of the degree of performance, quality and job performance of employees and satisfaction with productivity and communication. Need innovative ethics in their management to ensure productivity for a successful organization. Effective internal communication affects the productivity of employers and the performance of the organization. Work and motivation strategies and productivity of instructors are related construct that affect quality education achievement. Motivational approach to ensure the effectiveness of teachers in the school system.
Effective communication between instructor and students. This topic of communication in teaching is so generic that it has turned out to be almost oceanic. Currently, the topic of communication skill development is very commonly researched. A teacher in a society is a highly respected individual, and research and teaching is considered the most important and distinctive profession. Instructors need to be mindful of how they interact because communicating effectively will help instructors have a presence in the classroom that motivates students and encourage learning. They might send an intended message if they do not know things about their own body language. New technologies provide new opportunities to connect with students. 2.5 Online learning and communication. Like all previous ones, this global catastrophe has shown the consequences even after a pandemic has dissipated. What is online learning and face-to-face learning? First, most authors define online learning as accessing learning experience through the use of certain technologies. Second, face-to-face learning is one in which instructor and student meet concurrently in the same location. The difference between face-to-face learning and online learning. Over the last few years, digital media have improved the teaching and learning experience and have become common practice for university students and lecturers. The use of e-learning and of digital media for teaching and learning has grown rapidly in just a few years. The benefit of online learning. There are a large number of studies that consider statistically significant positive effect for student learning outcome in the online format as opposed to conventional face-to-face format. The effect of online learning on communication. Online learning can also include communication mediated by a computer. Shy students appear to be more interested in online settings than in conventional settings.
Effective communication plays a very important role because, the, like I said before, effective communication is to exchange the information. When they have a great communication, then we get a good exchange information. They also have online classes have a large number of students because they combine or gather to get they gather for the online class. Some classes have the 16 or 100 students in one class. There also some students feel negative vibe in online class because they have not paid attention to any information that has been given by the instructor, and they also not get enough attention by their own instructors. During pandemic, they have effect of the face-to-face class because during pandemic we cannot attend our face-to-face class. We need to attend our online classes. So that's very hard for some students that have difficult in communication. So they are having some trouble there, and still when during pandemic is not good for some students, but have but some students also have the good benefits or good vibe, positive vibe when they attend for the online class.
Okay, for students' opinion, okay, through this study, a survey has been made to the relevant students. Based on the questions that have been given related to the topic in the study, the majority of students are satisfied with taking online classes, while some students choose classes physically. Besides, for questions about the learning situation that has changed from physical class to online class, many students think it has not changed and they are comfortable learning online.
For the five is conclusion. Online learning has an effect on communication between instructors and students in a negative way, but also give effectiveness of a student's productivity levels. As a result, analyze data and the information received from the student is all agree with the question of the study. This study found that online learning indeed has a negative and also positive impact on communication and its effectiveness between instructor and students.
The second one is Article 2 between strategic clarity and strategic ambiguity of creating a strategic communication. Introduction. The original statement can change in future because in the present time, strategic communication can be explored to use and can be effect or strategic ambiguity. The second one is in strategic ambiguity can be used in any situation because they will practically can use for any situation because they can be expand or establish the connection between strategic communication and strategic ambiguity. And the ambiguity also refers to the availability of their understanding or their various perceptions in the world because somehow that ambiguity is not related to the misconception of how the world of
Like before, clarity and ambiguity are quite difficult to equate and they cannot be made comparable in the research. These two terms are sometimes used as extremely ambiguous. Ambiguity refers to the availability of various perspectives and ways of understanding the world. Ambiguity somehow doesn't relate to a misconception of how the world works, while clarity will appear in the something matter.
Clarity focused approach. Clarity and avoidance of ambiguity can be traced back to classical rhetoric in antiquity. Comparable importance in management, strategic communication makes an organization unique and also cover the communicate across format of organizational. Clarity focus approach continuous. Christines et al. 2008 say the nation order in for a organization to communicate with clarity across boundaries. The goals pursue with clarity of consistency in strategic communication barely differ ambiguity in communication from an about organization. Christines et al. 2015. Clarity make sure the individual goals to be clear.
Ambiguity-focused approaches. With the rise of the interpretative paradigm in strategic communication research, ambiguity-focused approaches have gained ground in recent years. Such approaches often derive their plausibility from criticism of the postulates of clarity and consistency. On the micro level, the clarity postulate is confronted with the characteristic of the communication process, which is arbitrary, conventional, and polysemic. For example, in their study on strategic ambiguity and crisis apologia. Second, on the meso level, the organizational contradictions are the focus of criticism of clarity postulates in the past few years. This has been described primarily using the polyphony approach. Like an orchestra, organizations are polyphonic. They are not discursively monolithic, but pluralistic and polyphonic, with many conversations occurring simultaneously and sequentially.
Clarity and ambiguity, both of them have their own perspective and largely neglected the benefits of the opposing side. Strategic communication has been shown to vacillate among strategic clarity and ambiguity from an organizational, behavior, and decision-based standpoint. Until now, it has not been identified why the organizations need clarity and ambiguity.
ambiguity is in the macro level and shows societal structures. In national review is a decision base that shows that authenticates about the decision based on the strategic clarity and strategic ambiguity. This concept is to able to understand about the strategic ambiguity that very hard to explain. This also this strategy is can be found in the societal of level. The ambiguity is also usually related to the message.
Dimension of strategic clarity and strategic ambiguity. The literature review has shown that the existing description of the practice of strategic ambiguity remains surprisingly vague. Ambiguity is usually related to message, while on one hand, even the description of ambiguity practices at the level of message remain remarkably nebulous. It seems plausible, on the other hand, to interpret the strategy of clarity of and ambiguity in strategic communication more broadly. In the case of the sender, strategic clarity and strategic ambiguity initially refer to the strategic clarity is concretized in a clear positioning, which is to be conveyed by integrated communication and which is a widespread ideal in the literature on integrated communication. The ambiguous counterposition is similar to the prescriptive polyphony concept. If the meta level refers to the strategic character of the situation, this is concretized for the sender by the visibility of the strategic communication character. The question behind this is whether the strategic character of the communicator should be fundamentally visible. On the level of the statement, strategic clarity and strategic ambiguity can be different as regards topic, fact, truth claim, and assessment. Concerning the topic, the fundamental question is whether a topic should be clearly recognizable or whether a mutual transfer effect should be created by combining it with other topics. An example of this is so-called outside-in topic. The facts are explained in many ways in anxiety studies on strategic ambiguity. Ambiguous facts can, for example, be range or the extensive omission of facts, as is often observed in the value communication. In truth claim, the focus is on the classical truth norm. Clarity strategies here can be verified on the basis of agreed procedures.
The conclusion is usage of strategic clarity and strategic ambiguity to observe and reverse the blind spot of clarity, ambiguity, and focus ambiguity. A systematic approach encompassing different dimensions of strategic clarity to see how important strategic ambiguity and usage of strategic clarity. Ambiguity allows this practice to be described in context. Goal of the reflective management of the distinction between strategic ambiguity, strategic clarity. That's all. Thank you.